Yes, so b'derech klal in general, the haftorahs are me'inyan ha-parsha. You know that the Abu Draham brings in the Seder Tfilas Shachris Shel Shabbos in the name of a Yesh Oimrim, that the reason for the laning of haftorahs is because there was a gzeira shegozru al Yisrael shelo yikru b'Torah. The Goyim didn't allow Yidden Kriyas HaTorah, and therefore V'koru b'Neviim me'inyan HaParsha. So they instituted a Kriya in Neviim, which for some reason they did allow. Me'inyan HaParsha. The Taisus Yontiv in the third parak in Megillah brings in the name of Sefer HaTishbi that this Gzeira was a Gzeira of Antiochus Melech Yovan. In any case, it says over there that in spite of the fact that the Gzeira was bottled, we kept the minig of Haftorah L'Doros. But since the Haftorah was originally instead of Kriyas HaTorah of the Parsha, therefore the Haftorahs are always Me'inyan HaParsha. But from the beginning of the Yemei Bein HaMitzorim, we have a special series of Haftorahs, which is not Me'inyan HaParsha, but rather Me'inyana de Yoima. We have Plosa de Pranusa, which is 3 haftarahs of Puranas calamity. Then we have 7 Shev de Nechemta, 7 haftarahs of consolation. And then we have Chode de Tiyuvte on Shabbos Shuva and the Aseres Yimei Shuva. We lay in Shuva Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha. Now, Bishleim the Plosa de Pranusa, we can understand that from Shivasa B'Tammuz until Tisha B'Av, it's a time that we commemorate the Churban, we mourn the Churban, and therefore the Inyana de Yaima is haftarahs that are haftarahs of Puranus. In the Aseres Yimei Tshuva is a man of Tshuva. The haftarah is haftarah me'inyan Tshuva. But what's the meaning of the Shev de Nechemasa? 7 haftarahs of consolation. How is the Inyana de Yaima of this time period Nechama? We know that the Beis Hamikdash was still not rebuilt, and we're still in the state of Golus. So what does it mean that there's a Shev de Nechemasa? It must be that during this time period we're called on to strengthen ourselves in the Emunah, in the Nechama that will be. It doesn't express a present situation. It's about strengthening our Emunah in the Nechama that we will be Zoicha to L'Osid Lovay. And remember, it's self-understood that anybody that takes his spiritual life seriously and doesn't want to fool himself probably looks for ways to strengthen that Emunah during this time period. So how and with what are we meant to be mechazik our Emunah in the Nechama of L'Osid Lovay? You know, in the beginning of the Parsha, it says, Re'ei, Onoichi noisem lefneichem hayoim brocha uklol. Es ha-brocha asher tishmu el mitzvahs Hashem Elokeichem asher Onoichi mitzvah esechem hayoim v'haklolo im lo yisishmu, etc. So the Sforno says on this pasuk, Re'ei, habito Re'ei. You should contemplate, you should focus, you should think and see. Shelo yehei in yoncha al oifen beinoini, that your condition, the Jewish condition, will not be average, will not be regular, will not be normal. Kemoishuhu haminig b'shar ha'umois, as it is with other nations. Ki omnom, because in truth, anoichi noisim lefnechem hayoim bracha uklol. Ve'im shnei hakzovis. These are 2 extremes. Ki ha-bracha hi hatzlocha yoisem min ha'maspik. Blessing means above and beyond what's necessary, what's needed. Al derech hayoyse toiv v'haklolo hi me'era mechaseres shelo yusag hamaspik. Beneath and below the what one needs. Ushnehem lefneichem. Both these options are in front of you. Lahasig kefi masha tivcheru, which means that Klal Yisrael will never be normal. If we fulfill our mission, we'll be blessed above and beyond the average, and if we don't, chas v'sholom, we'll be cursed, and we'll have less than what's necessary. In Parshas Kisavoy, when actually, it says over here, and the next pasuk says that Hashem Elokecha la'oretz asher ata bo shomo l'rishto v'nosata es habrocha al har Grizim v'saklolo al har Evel. And this actually takes place in Parshas Kisavoy. So in that context, it says in Kapitel Chavov, pasuk Tes Zayin and on, it says, Hayoim hazeh Hashem Elokecha mitzavcha lasis es hachukim ha'ele v'es hamishpatim v'shomarta v'asisa oisam b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha es Hashem ha'emarta hayoim liyois l'chol lelokim v'laleches b'dracha v'lishmar chukav u'mitzvaysav u'mishpatav v'lishmar b'kol v'Hashem ha'emircha hayoim liyois loy la'am zgula kasher diba l'chol v'lishmar kol mitzvaysav. So what is ha'emarta and he'emircha mean? Rashi says that it's a lotion of hafroshe and havdola. Rashi says that it doesn't appear anywhere else in psukim, but it seems to me that it's a lotion of hafroshe and havdola, separation. That we were separated from all of other ummahs, and we separated, so to speak, HaKadosh Baruch Hu from everything else. The Ramban says that it's a lotion of roimamus, a lotion of elevation. Hashem elevated us, and we elevated him, so to speak. But what's the hayoim? Es Hashem he'emarta hayoim, and Hashem he'emircha hayoim. When was that day? So the Sforno says, hayoim hazeh she'ato nichnas imoy lebris. So we entered into a covenant, a bris. Ki hine inyan habris hu she'akel yizborach mitzav chol asis es hachukim v'hamishpatim l'toiv lecho lo yosachein lechol goy. This is a unique and special relationship that we have with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Va'ato mekabel olecha l'shomram. We took upon ourselves to keep these mitzvahs and mishpatim. B'chol levavcha, shetakir b'li safek shero'ui lases ritzoyne. That you'll fully recognize that it's ro'ui lases ritzoyne. U'b'chol nafshecha shelo yoni oischa koyach mis'ave. V'heyoischa makir mailas mishet tziva v'toyelas mitzvahs. U'bazeh es Hashem he'emarta hayoim. Keshekibalta olecha. When you took upon yourself lehikones bebris b'shvuas ha'olo asher bo ovdon kol toiv gashmi im tavor olav. We took upon ourselves that we're willing to forego kol toiv gashmi if we will not carry out our mission. In other words, we understood that in order to keep us in spiritual shape, there has to be a bracha u'klola. We understood that the only way to preserve us as the Am Hashem is with bracha u'klola, and we took it upon ourselves because we recognized that this mission is more important than anything else, right? So he says, "Es Hashem he'emarta hayom kishikibalta olecha lehikones bebris b'shvuas ha'olo asher bo ovdan kol toiv gashmi im tavar olav. He'emarta v'roimamta es hakel yizborach b'zeh. Sheyeh yoyse nichbod etzlecha kiyum ritzoynoi." That the kiyum of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's rotzen is more important to us, mikol toiv gashmi. And he goes on and on to say that Hashem emircha hayoim, the b'mashu hu nichnas bebris imcha v'lo yosef kein l'chol goy nosan l'chol mayla b'zeh liyos loy la'am zgula kidei sheyasig bochem ma shechofetz lahasig min hamin ha'enoshi. That the Rebbeinu Shalom is made a bris with us, that if through us he will achieve what he wants to achieve from the human race. Ka'amoroi nase odam b'tzalmeinu kidmuseinu, etc. So this is the he'emircha and the he'emarta. So the klola im loy sishma'u is not a gzeiras shamayim. we're talking about a bris, as it's mafurish in Parshas Kisavei, in the end of the Teichecha, it says Eile Divrei Habris. Rashi over there says that it's talking about the klolis. We entered into a bris with the Rebbeinu Shalom on the klolis. It's a treaty, it's a covenant that Kurse bris akuris beinehem, which is an expression of a special relationship. In other words, the expression of our special relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom is that we live in a way of bracha asher tishmu and klola im loisishmu. So we took upon ourselves to live on a higher level. We took upon ourselves the divine mission. And in order to preserve that, our state of being cannot be normal. And it will never be normal. It will be either above and beyond, either beneath and below. And as you know, the Gemara there's a dramatic, the Gemara quotes a Braisa in Masechtas Ksubas, Tanu Rabbanon in Masechtas Ksubas Daf Samach Vava Mid Beis, Maise Berabon Yochanan ben Zakkai, Shehoyo Roiche Balachamor, V'hoyo Yoitze mi Yerushalayim, V'hoyu Talmidov mehalchin Achrov. His Talmidim were following. Ro'o Riva Achas, he saw a woman, Shehoisa Melaketes Sa'orim, Mi Bein Glole Behemton Shel Arviyim. She was being malaket barley, mi ben glole behemton shel arvim. Kiven sheroas, she was so hungry. Kiven sheroas oisoi. When she saw Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai nisatva besaro, va'omdolofonav omralo Rebbe Parneseni, omalo bas miat, omalo bas nakdimoin ben Gurion, ani, omalo biti, mamon shel beis avich heichon holach. Your father was one of the richest Jews in Yerushalayim. What happened to all that money? And she told him, he didn't give tzedakah, etc. And she said to him, Omaloi Rebbe Zochur Ato, do you remember Keshechasamto al Ksubasi, when you signed on my Ksuba, Omalahem Talmidov, he said to his Talmidov, Zochur Ani. I do remember Keshechasamti al Ksubasa shel zu v'hoyisi korei bo elef alofim din reizov mi beis aviyah chutz mishel chamiyah. So that's how rich they were. Bochar Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai v'om Ashreichem Yisrael. Ashreichem Yisrael. B'zman she'oisim ritzonos shel makom, ein kol umah v'loshen she'letus b'hem. B'zman she'ein oisim ritzonos shel makom, moisron b'dei umah shveila. V'loi b'yad umah shveila, elo b'yad behemton shel umah shveila. Yes, so the Maharsha says that the Ashreichem Yisrael is going on both halves of this statement. Ashreichem Yisrael, B'zman she'atem oisin ritzonos shel makom, you'll be all the way up there. B'zman she'ein atem oisin ritzonos shel makom, you'll be all the way down there. Omar Ashreichem, says the Marshal, Shnei Atzdodim. Ki be'emes, shtei ha'hofchiyos heim l'maylos Yisrael. Both extremes are because of our special maila. Ki kol umma v'umma yesh l'sar l'mayla. Every umma has a natural state of being. Aval heim chelik Hashem ki Yaakov chevel nachlosei v'al ken k'she'oisin ritzonos heim l'mayla mikol ha'umas v'sareim. K'mo she'kosav habeit na hashamayma shedorshu shehoitzi es Avrom achutza l'mayla mikol tzva hashamayim. Aval k'she'ein oisin ritzonos HaKadosh Baruch Hu Masal Shchinas Behem Vaherim Shvelim V'Nivzim Mikol Homes. So the Jewish people they don't have a natural kiyum like other umais. The laws of history don't apply to Klal Yisrael. There's a Gemara in Arochin, Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis. The Gemara says that the kinor of Olam Haba will have Asora Nimin, 10 strings. And it's learned from the pasuk in Tilim, B'neivel Osor Zamru Loi, Shiru Loi Shir Chodosh. So the Shir Chodosh, that's the Shir of La'asir Lavoi, and that will be B'neivel Osor Zamru Loi, that the kinor of La'asir Lavoi will have Eser Nimin. So Rashi says, La'olam Haba Mishtoi. How do we know that this pasuk is talking about Olam Haba? Midiksiv Shir Chodosh, Lashon Zohar. The Shirois Olam Hazeh Loshen Nekeva. Ki the Amar b'Mechiltin, Kishem Shenekeva Zu Yoyledes, V'choizeres V'Yoyledes, Kach Teshuos Halolu. The Yeshuas, the salvations, the Nisim, of all the Doris until the time of Mashiach, Soifon Leiled Tsoros. Avol Shir Shel Olam Haba Loshen Zocher She'eino Yoiled. So the miracles of Olam Hazeh, about which we say Shira, are compared to an akeva that's Yoiledes. But why? Because the miracles bring birth to Tsoros. It's astounding because, you think about it. I mean, when we talk about Leda and Akeves Yoledes, I mean, she carries the baby for 9 months in order to come to the point where she gives birth. The Iker Tachlis is the baby that's born, not the pregnancy. But over here, we're comparing the Nisim to the pregnancy and the Tsaris that come after the Nisim as the Vlad. Which Rashi says, Kishem shenekeva zu yoiledes, kach teshuos halolu, soifon leiled tsaros. So how is that possible? So obviously, I mean, the harsh reality is that since es Hashem he'emarta hayoy, when we took upon ourselves bebris ubeshvuas ha'olam, the Eila Divrei Abris, as the Sforno says, that we took upon ourselves Ovdon Kol Toiv Gashmi Im Tavar Olav. And that's part of the Ashreichem Yisrael. That's part of what makes us so special. So the entire cycle of Nisim and Soris and Nisim is what moves us forward to Yemois HaMashiach and Chai Olam Haba. We don't bechlal see the Tzoros as something negative. We see the Yeshua, the Tzora, the next Nisim, the next Tzora. We see it as an ongoing process that is meant to bring us to our destination. There's a fascinating Beis Halevi. I can't tell you the whole thing in Parshas Shemois, but you can look it up yourself. He brings B'Tehillim in the beginning of Parashas Shemois. B'Tehillim, Hoidu LaHashem, Kiru B'Shmoi, Hoidiu Ba'amim Ali Loisav, Shiru Loi, Zamru Loi, V'Goymen. And then it says, Vayefer Es Amoy Ma'oid V'Yatzimeu Mitzorov, that Klal Yisrael multiplied in Mitzrayim. And then the next pasuk says, Hofach Libam, Lisnoi Amoy, Lehisnakel Ba'avodov, Sholach Moshe Avdoi, Aaron Asher Bochaboy. So asks the Beis Halevi, L'chayra yesh lahavin, the kol ha-mizmor, hoylech u'mesaper chaste Hashem, she'asa l'Yisrael ma'as hoylegoy. This whole mizmor is telling us about Hashem's chesed, hoydu l'Hashem, kiru b'shmoy, hoydu b'amim ali loisa. V'loma hizkir kan, ma shehofach leiv Mitzrayim she'yisnu oisoi. So why does the pasuk over here tell us about hofach libam lisnoi amoy? Lehisnakel b'avod, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu converted the heart of the Mitzrim that they should hate the Jews. V'harei ein ze b'chlal ha'toivos. V'harei l'chayra adrabah. B'zehu maktin iker toivos ha'geula miMitzrayim. By mentioning this, it's making smaller the toivos ha'geula. Kiven sheba'haschola lo yoyu mishtabdim ba mitzad atzmam. Now we find out that it's not like the Egyptians did it on their own. It was the Rebbeinu Shalom that had to convert their heart in order that they should hate us. So it makes it like smaller, the nace of the Geula. I mean, he put us in, he took us out. Rak HaKadosh Baruch Hu hafach libam sheyisnu oisam. Gam lahavin ikar adavar the lama hafach libam sheyisnu oisam. Ube'ez achet. Anyway, Untish Teshura, he says that in order to preserve the Klal Yisrael, Jehoyu Yisrael Mitsuyonim Sham, it was important that the Egyptians should hate us, that we shouldn't be able to assimilate, that we shouldn't be able to become one of them. And Memela the Hofach Libam Lisnai Amai Lisnakal Ba'avodav is really part of the process of redemption. In other words, that leads up to the Geula, and that leads up to that's part of the making of our people. Yeah, and he has a ganze arichas. And then he concludes, and after this whole thing, he says, "V'zehu masha onu royim b'chush, asher begolus ha'oroi chazeh, b'medinas Hagor, u'medinas Romania." At that time, Vice Lita, things were better. So he writes in Hungary and in Romania, asher b'chol yoim misrabois hasina, misrabis hasina, v'noi tefes yois, v'noi nitoi sefes yoisim shalofonov. They hate us. They hate the Jews more and more. Asher lefi derech haseichel v'hateva, tzorich liyos hasina hoileches u'mismaetes tomit. They should keep on hating us less and less. Kederech kol dover. Like everything else in the natural world that starts, strong, and it weakens with time. Shebetchila hi betoikvo, v'achar kach hoileches v'dalo. Kach hagolus. The hatred should calm down. Magam, that if the hatred, if we would understand the hatred because we're different, so where we become less different, the hatred should be less. The Chol Mashi Yisrael mema'atim b'havdilom shenosna lehem HaKadosh Baruch Hu al yedei kiyum HaTorah b'hamitzvah, the less Yidden separate themselves from Goyim. Al yedei kiyum HaTorah b'hamitzvah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu moisif sinah b'libam, lefi erech tachlis hamavukosh, kedei sheyisharu Yisrael muvdal. Then he says, "Ubaruch Hashem, Hashanasam b'leiv hamemshala yorim hoydam b'mdinoseinu, loseis lanu rishyo in lishma Torah akdosha be'ein moiche, val yidei kiyum HaTorah v'amitzvah yitoisef chen shel Yisrael b'einayim." Anyway, so the point is that the hafach libam lisnoi amoy, is part of the Rebbeinu Shalom's derech to keep us where we need to be and to bring us to where we ought to come. So it's really that out of the tlosa de peranusa, we come to the shevda nechemasa. In other words, when we focus on the tzoras, on the persecutions, on the redifas, from the Churban until now, that really it empowers our faith in the nechama that will come, since we see and we experience more and more how our state of being is not given to the rules of history and to the laws of nature. Yes, so and especially, to say in this door where we experienced first the Holocaust, then the rebuilding of the Jewish people in Chutz La'aretz and Befrat in Eretz Yisrael, and a kibbutz of Nitchei Yisrael on a level that we never had. We see, and then at the same time, we see the growing hatred. We actually experience in this generation the bracha and the klola b'hadi adodi, because Jews are more successful l'fi erech than u'mesoilam, and at the same time, they're more hated than anybody else. And it's not because we're successful, because we were hated when we were not successful also. So you see that we have the bracha, we have the klala, but normal will never be. And that is something that should help us connect not only to the Jewish people, but to the Rebbeinu Shalom. And re'ei habito re'ei shelo yehei in yoncha. And we should and a mela from the shaved, from the tlasa the pranusa, and then the shaved the nechemasa, we come to the chada the tiyufta shuva Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha. Okay, Rabbi Say, I want to wish you all good Shabbos. Okay.